get tea. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Tillman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back there.
Even worse is watching the officials tilt the floor against you in the first game or missing 6 guys, the pinnacle of your season. The Indiana Fever faced the Atlanta Dream with precisely that. Additionally, you could sense the rage building. For expressing what every fan was already thinking, Stephanie White practically received a technical foul. So, how can a team that is kept together by perseverance and tape manage to endure injuries and officiate mayhem? Did it feel much more like sabotage, or was it just plain bad luck? Keep reading, because the events of Game 1 have players and fans incensed, and the league as a whole wondering if the Fever was stolen. Do you believe the references stole the Fever? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below.
They have. So Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby right there on the bench. But then you have Sophie Cunningham, Sid Colson, Ari McDonald, all actually having to sit separate from the bench. You also have Damiris Duntes.
Imagine missing half of your rotation going into the playoffs before the ball even tips. How even do you attempt to compete? The Indiana Fever had precisely that kind of nightmare. Additionally, there were more than 1 or 2 players. Do you wish to discuss poor luck?
We got the injured reserves here with you guys, which last month, they just weren't able to travel. What does that mean to you specifically, just having them there?
Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad in itself, they just have a lot of knowledge. And so for us, just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, because obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super happy to have them with us.
That's 6 players who ought to have been in uniform. 6 rotating parts were removed. This squad still had to play against a dream roster that was loaded and ready to go, though. How does that treat the players or the supporters fairly? Throughout the season, Indiana endured exactly precise form of punishment in order to earn the 6th seed. They scraped and fought their way through months of lineups that were jumbled together like a puzzle with pieces missing. Additionally, they arrived in Atlanta with more names on the inactive list than some teams have on their bench, rather than being rewarded with a fresh start for the playoffs.
Obviously, the injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. How do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with, just bringing some perspective to you guys?
Yeah, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane, front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So, they bring energy, they bring light, they bring their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So I'm excited to see how we figure that out, but it'll be great to have them back with us.
In addition, the bench was a sight to behold. Everyone chose to travel because of the Fever. Whether healthy or not, all 16 players were present. It was a sign of solidarity that also brought attention to how ridiculous their circumstances were. Not even enough seats were available. Players wearing street clothes were forced to sit in a second row behind the real bench, similar to what happens when passengers wait to board a plane, because the main row filled up so quickly. When you can't fit the entire bunch on the sidelines, you've hit the injury lottery.
Finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. You're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor.
Here's where context is important. Consider the other postseason teams. They're bringing in stable players who make good backups in case the Stars require a break or receive foul calls. That wasn't in Indiana. They were using tape, grit, and prayer to patch holes while leaning on whoever was left standing. Nevertheless, they advanced to the postseason for 2 consecutive years in spite of everything. Resilience is evident from that alone.
Come on, guys. This is my new team, the medical staff. Oh, yeah.
Without even trying, Sophie Cunningham may have summed it up the best. She quipped that she is now essentially a member of the medical staff because she is stuck in rehab for her knee. Although it was a cliche, the line captured the absurdity of the entire season. A former starter, who is now a cheerleader, keeps the spirits up by cracking jokes, even though she knows she should be making shots. That's a summary of the Fever. Overcoming the agony by finding methods to grin. The squad came out of the gate swinging in Game 1 despite those injuries, which is the weirdest part. They took Atlanta by surprise early on and established a lead as if they were too obstinate to recognize their weaknesses. Naturally, however, things couldn't remain that straightforward because the refs made the decision to step in and drastically alter the course of the game just as the Fever showed that they could hang despite everything.
What the referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had to watch their team work so hard all season long, played through every single injury, and the reason why they had so many injuries is because of these referees.
Every postseason game has its ups and downs, but nothing loses momentum more quickly than an illogical whistle. Indiana punched first despite having 6 injured players when they arrived in Atlanta. With Kelsey Mitchell making early shots and Aaliyah Boston doing what she does best, dominating the glass and blocking the lane, they surged out to a 15-6 start. The Fever played like a squad that was tuned in and didn't intend to allow their roster's lack of depth dictate the game. For a brief instant, the impossibility seemed imminent. A healthy Dream squad is in danger due to a broken roster. After that, the game's energy began to be sapped by the officiating.
Ryan Howard just falls down, but it's a foul. Like, this is ridiculous. Look at this, Kelsey Mitchell. They don't even let the Fever play defense because she's associated with Caitlin Clark. Look at this one. Another foul where nobody touched him. So they lost the timeout and they lost their challenges for the game because the referees can't do their job.
Whistles that sprang out of nowhere broke the early rhythm. Atlanta converted defensive stops that ought to have resulted in quick breaks into free throws. Clean competitions received a foul mark. Mitchell and others would battle through screens to prevent the Dream from getting clean looks, but a call that didn't add up would stop the play and reverse it. And there was more than one error. It kept repeating, eroding the sense of urgency Indiana had initially created.
Look at this. Boston gets elbowed in the face by Brittany Griner. Do you think they called it? No. And look at this. Lexi Hall did not touch her. Didn't even touch her. And she gets free throws. Here we go. Kelsey Mitchell touched her hip lightly.
One of the major victims of these phantom calls was Lexi Hall. She was in ideal defensive position when she was called for a foul on Ryan Howard. Not even close to unlawful touch. The replay supports what everyone watching already knew, notwithstanding Coach Stephanie White's challenge. No foul was committed. In the first quarter, she had to burn one of her challenges, which is something no coach wants to do at that early stage. White later acknowledged that winning 2 challenges so quickly was extremely annoying since it demonstrated that the officials were obviously missing something, but she was constrained in her ability to fix it. By the second quarter, she had to expend both challenges in order to prevent her players from being buried beneath poor officiating.
To talk about the physicality of this game and knowing it's the playoff playing in such a physical game like today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming in it's playoffs, it's going to be physical, and we're going to have to learn how to play with that, especially this team is inherently a physical team. So for us, knowing that's the case and being able to respond, I think there's things that we're able to watch in film on how to handle that better, not letting the refs determine, how that physically is impacting us, but just continuing to play through that. It's definitely something we're going to have to work on and watch film and get better at, but that's part of playoffs, and that's part of the thing that we're going to have to get better at moving forward in the series.
Take a look at this.
Brittany Gurrier elbows Boston in the face. Do you believe they made the call?
No. Take a look at this.
She was not touched by Lexi Hall. She receives free throws even though no one touched her. Let's get started. Kelsey Mitchell gave her hip a gentle pat. Atlanta's physicality, meanwhile, was permitted to run amok. On post-ups, fans witnessed Brittany Griner shove Aaliyah Boston or Brianna Jones elbow Brianna Turner, but nothing was called. Every possession became a gamble due to the inconsistency. It was a foul if Indiana put a body on someone. Play went on if Atlanta did it. That kind of imbalance isn't limited to scoreboards. It erodes rhythm, focus, and confidence.
Didn't stop either. You'd think after 20 of them. Look at this. So that's a foul, right? But watch when the Fever do it 2 times in a row. Same exact thing. But it's not a foul when the Fever drive. Look at this. It's not a foul when the Fever get hit in the air, but the Dream get free throws. Same exact plays. Look at this one. What are you supposed to do? Just roll out the red carpet and give him a layup? She is not fouling her. They give her a 3-point play for putting her hands up.
The frustration reached a boiling point by the fourth quarter. Following a scene in which Ryan Howard dragged on Shaw Petty without a whistle, White yelled at the referees. She was given a technical by the referees for expressing the same annoyance that every Indiana fan was yelling at their television.
Anna's had a few of those last few possessions. Mitchell, catch, fire, and hit from 3. What a start. Rebound hits the floor. Hull keeps it alive for Indiana. Mitchell using the screen, dancing around Griner, and able to squeeze it in off window.
Shortly after, Odyssey Sims received one for diving for a loose ball, which should have been commended for hustle, but was penalized instead. The Fever bench appeared unsettled, and there was a lot of confusion in the building. When White appeared poised to escalate, Caitlin Clark, who was present but on the sidelines, even intervened to reassure her own head coach. The image was unreal. The coach had had enough of the bullshit and was being held back by the injured sophomore. During the hurricane, Atlanta prospered. They stretched the lead and made it a hill the Fever couldn't climb from, turning the turmoil into a third-quarter run. The following headlines did not discuss the performance of Indiana stars. They have to do with officiating. Fans were left wondering if the referees or the Dream conquered the sickness. However, the gang on the court continued to fight in spite of everything. And that aspect of the narrative is even more significant.
And another chance here for Indiana.
So much length, and it's obvious on the defensive end for Atlanta.
Boston just kind of pushed it up and in. Guarded by Howard. They slide it into Boston, center of the lane, turning and finishing. Aaliyah Boston, beautiful move.
How do you even define success when all the odds are against them? By pride in your hard work or by the ultimate score? In Game 1, the Fever encountered that conundrum. They were outmatched on paper. They refused to leave the court. And Kelsey Mitchell led that charge as usual. She shot nearly 50% from the field, made almost all of her free throws, and scored 27 points, a playoff career high. Mitchell had a way of bringing Indiana's offense back to life whenever it faltered. She was receiving more than just buckets. She did everything she could to keep the Fever going throughout the game, adding 4 assists and even a block.
Masco emphasized first just how well she's been playing down the stretch. The efficiency has gotten much better since the second week of August, averaging nearly 20 points a game since then. As Hull 40-33, Atlanta in front. These teams split their 4 regular season meetings as Hull knocks down the 3. Hull gets a step and finishes off the window.
However, despite Mitchell's brilliance, it was impossible to overlook what was lacking. The one thing that could bolster defenses was taken away by Caitlin Clark's absence. She has the ability to make opponents stand 25 feet away from the basket. Beyond the arc, Atlanta didn't even pretend to respect Indiana in the absence of that danger. They blocked traffic lanes, packed the paint, and challenged the Fever's backup players to long-range strikes. Aaliyah Boston had a harsh atmosphere inside due to the lack of space. She worked her way out of foul trouble while attempting to dodge whistles and juggling multiple defenders to manage 12 rebounds and 12 boards. With Atlanta's front court, every possession felt like a wrestling match. Boston, however, continued to work. She was quieter on the offensive. Indiana was competitive for a longer period of time than they probably should have due to their incredible rebounding effort, which cost them 8 points on limited opportunities.
Mitchell gets it up beautifully. Boston lays it in.
The number of screens that Aaliyah Boston set on that possession, her stagger, pinned down here. She's going to come up and set another on-ball screen, turn, re-screen action, and then finally rolls to the basket. It ends.
Additionally, Lexi Hall gave it her all. Although 9 points don't seem like much, they were significant. On a night when the rim was cruel to everyone else, she laid to rest one of Indiana's few threes. She pushed for lost balls, pursued Atlanta around screens, and performed the energy role that is so frequently overlooked until it is gone. Hull was a constant reminder to everyone that she could contribute in ways other than box score glory, even when her shots weren't falling at a high pace.
We're competing against everyone. We're in every single game, and I think at the end of the day, we've seen in moments when we're not doing well or games that we've lost, it's really things that we can control. So making sure that we're locked in on all of those things and tidying up those little things, because if we can put together 40 minutes, we feel like we can beat anybody in the league. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're excited that the playoffs is finally here. And now, it's not about what our record was. It wasn't about teams we beat or who we didn't beat during the regular season. It's about Atlanta. It's about this game on Sunday. So that's all we're focused on, and we're really excited about the opportunity.
However, the percentages don't provide the most striking insight. It's because the fever never went away. Knowing that they still had a chance to change the script, they continued to play until the last buzzer. It recently relocated to Indianapolis. Their first home playoff match since 2016 is Game 2. And for that reason alone, this group feels that the battle is far from over. Whether Indiana has enough stars on the court isn't the subject at hand. The question is whether their fan base can supply the vigor required to support a victory that defines the season.
I think we're just really excited about it. I think last year our fans were robbed of getting to be part of the playoff experience. Watching the Pacers in playoff, the fans really do show out, and Gainbridge is loud and crazy and electric. And so to be able to host a game there and be able to bring what how they've supported us so long, be able to give this to them and have a really fun one, I think we're really excited about it. And I love this new.
Imagine this. Since 2016, the Indiana Fever have not played a postseason game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And now that their season is in the balance, they are taking the court. This moment has finally arrived after almost 10 years of anticipation and a season marred by injury. It's more than simply a game to fans. This is an opportunity to remind the league that Indiana basketball still has significance in the playoffs. Furthermore, it will be impossible to overlook the hunger in that building.
Get through tomorrow first.
It doesn't feel differently for me. Because I've been in all the formats. Being a player and a coach, I don't know if it feels differently for them. I'm happy for our fans, that they get an opportunity to see the team in the playoffs. I remember a year ago in Connecticut, it was like, thank God we didn't have to go back to Indiana. So I'm thankful for our fans that they're going to have this opportunity.
There is nothing more dramatic than the setup. This isn't your typical season matchup. This is the Fever's final opportunity to prolong their run. The unfortunate thing is that they still lack the 6 guys who are a part of their Atlanta roster. Caitlin Clark is still not playing. Ari McDonald, Sydney Carlson, Sophie Cunningham, and Chloe BBY are not accessible. Following the concussion protocol, Dyra Stantis is out and will be reassessed to see if she can play in Game 2. As a result, Indiana faces the same severe issue with little room for error. Naturally, Atlanta is aware of what worked in the first game. They crowded the paint until spacing disappeared, pushed Indiana into rushed jump shots, and relied on depth that isn't available at the moment. Everyone in the building is aware that 2 for 15 from 3 is not going to work. Stephanie White, the head coach, made it apparent. The ball must move if this offense is to succeed. Swift choices, deft passing, and no goods wasted. Since the dream scope and scale will not decrease under Indiana's control, better execution is not negotiable.
So given the playoff format change, you guys being able to actually host a postseason game for the first time in your career in Indiana, how much do you expect that to help you guys, to give you momentum, and how just personally excited are you for that?
Personally excited. I'll let you know when I get there. But I think it gives ourselves a chance to stay in a hunt of things we really trying to figure out, a way to come back here whenever we play. We would like to play again. So you're gonna have to take the necessary steps to be at your best. But I would like to think that being back at home can kind of give us a sense of comfort. So hopefully we can use it for what it's worth and not take it for granted.
Mitchell has a lot on her plate, but it can't be her alone. She is competent, as evidenced by her 27 points in Game 1, but if no other scorer breaks free, Atlanta will pack up once more and block her driving lanes. Hull will fight for every loose ball, and Boston will fight inside, but someone else, Hartley, Turner, or Howard, must emerge as a dependable alternative. Thus, the throng enters the picture. The enthusiasm of 17,000 supporters can make every Indiana run feel larger, every stop hurt more, and every dream possession a little more awkward, but they cannot protect Ryan Howard or box out Brittany Gurrier. There is more to this game than merely survival. The goal is to demonstrate that this franchise is resilient. Take pride in your house and begin paving the way for the future that everyone of Indiana is anticipating. What transpires inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse will determine how this playoff run is remembered, win or lose.